Hello and welcome to the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Tottenham Hotspur's Thomas Frank era starts off strong after they secure a 2-0 away win against a poor Manchester City. Arsenal smash 5 past Leeds United on the day. They unveil Eberechi Eze, but face major concerns after Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka suffer injuries. Manchester United are unable to capitalise on their strong opening weekend performance and splutter in a 1-1 draw at Fulham. And Everton begin life in their gorgeous brand new stadium with a massive 2-0 win against Brighton. That's what we have coming up in today's episode.
Okay, my friend. Great week in the studio after our trip to England and being in the stadiums. It was back to normality.
Nice to be home.
Normal.
Nice to be home.
Yeah, absolutely nice to be home. Let's start at the Etihad. Not nice to be home for Manchester City, my friend, against the Tottenham team who, if I say, are getting a habit of getting results against Man City under Pochettino. It's something that they did under Ange last season. I think it was a 4-0 win at the Etihad and a 2-0 win to Thomas Frank. Talk to me first about Tottenham, Rob. Let's talk about Tottenham and what Thomas Frank has installed to this team that makes them look and feel a bit different.
Well, flexible Frank, I think, is the headline for Tottenham Hotspur, Robbie Earle. I think we knew a little bit about this, that the way that he coaches, he will coach differently given who his opponents are. Brentford, I think he always had the big six. He'd always go with 5 at the back. He felt he needed the extra guy back there with strong attacks playing against their Brentford. But now as a Tottenham, maybe not quite so much in terms of big system changes, but there was 2 personnel, there was 2 changes in the middle of the park that added some beef, some defensive kind of nous. Palhinha, the new player for Tottenham on loan from Bayern Munich, played in the middle of the park, as did Bentancur. They're more defensive-minded than Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall. And just flexible in the. Sometimes they pressed Man City really high. Sometimes they sat back a little deeper. There was changes on the flanks as well, I believe. Oh, no, was there? No, I think the front three was the same. Brennan Johnson has gone from a right winger under the previous manager to a left winger, scores again in the game. Kudos, of course, the new player from West Ham United. It's just a good story, Rob, and this is what we wanted to see with a different, more conventional coach with this young and exciting squad of players. What's possible? It's really early yet, but you've got to love what Thomas Frank's doing, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting that you go to the point, because we've been fortunate to sit with Thomas Frank a couple of times, and he's talked about those system or personnel changes when he plays a big six. So one of my sort of thoughts this season was, how is he going to be now he's one of the big six? It's not that he's out on the outside, but I think what's a big thing that I like about Thomas Frank, Rob, and you talk about his flexibility, which is important, and he ingrains 2 or 3 different ways of playing. But I think he doesn't put himself or the club that big that, hold on, we can go and just play a bit like Ange. We're going to Man City and we're going to play our way, and this is how we are. And if we get beat, we'll get beat because we're doing it our way. He'll go to Man City and go, we can do it a different way. And one of the things that I liked yesterday, Rob, was, they've missed out on Eze. They've missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White, who's a number 10, who's a creative player who would add something to that front line. But what Thomas Frank does in the other way is go, you know what, we're going to be exceptional on the press. We're going to go man-to-man at times with Man City, as we've seen his Brentford teams do. At times, Rob, if they have to go mid-block, they go there and be comfortable and set triggers and win the ball quickly and break away. And so, for me, he's taken a group of players, and this was always my biggest argument with Ange, was these are international top-class players. They can understand more than one way of playing. Just tweak it a little bit to give yourself a chance. Thomas Frank, as you say, the flexibility and almost like the transparency with which he coaches, I think is going to help Tottenham become a better team.
Listen, I agree with that, Rob, that statement there. But let me just throw back onto the downside of these changes, right? Or potential perceived downsides. And I just think when there's a new manager and there's new players in the club, which there are at Tottenham right now, and a different manager, of course, different ideas. I just think a lot of changes can sometimes hurt continuity and rhythm, team rhythm. If you just bear with me, like all the and I'm not saying that Spurs, of course, they want to be the best team, but all the sort I feel like the best teams anywhere, you kind of know exactly what they're going to do. Now, maybe you earn the right to do that if you have got the best team and everybody else adjusts because of you. And maybe if Tottenham Hotspur do get to a point where they're the best team, there'll be less tweaking about the opponents. So I'm with you, right? And I admire that about Thomas Frank, the ability to change. It's just part of me thinks, are they going to get familiar quickly? Is it going to be a bit disjointed because a lot of change, even though the change might be working? So it's just something to think about. And I just wonder going forward, there's a lot of talk about this now with how he adjusts his team. I just wonder how much we're going to see of that. And maybe like Brentford, Robin, think about Brentford. I think there was probably two ways of playing. I think he pretty much always played with the three guys in midfield. I can see him right now.
Damsgaard, Norgard.
Norgard and Janelt. And then sometimes five at the back, sometimes four. There's an extra attacker if it's four at the back. So I that's maybe what we'll see, Rob. Not tons of different, well, you're going to play over here this week and you're going to do that, but just two, maybe three setups that, to kind of answer my own question, maybe they do get familiar with those two different ways. And that might be the way forward for them.
Absolutely. And it's just kind of, do you know what I always think with Thomas Frank, Rob? It's kind of a way of playing, a way of coaching, a communication that you kind of go, I get that. I see that. Some coaches, they say, and it's like, I'm not sure about that. Or, Ruben Amorim we can talk about, and Ange is an example of that. And you're kind of not sure what, okay. You kind of get what Thomas Frank is doing, and that's what I think is the continuity piece. Couldn't love that more, Rob, about it's almost like there's an attention to more defensive detail, more responsibility out the ball. I think they did a brilliant job at times of setting City up, didn't allow City's rhythm. I'm going to go straight to my underappreciated performer of the week. I'm going to bang it out there in the first show, mate. João Palhinha. João Palhinha, signed on loan from Bayern Munich, was, I thought, outstanding. It's a great signing,
for
Rob.
What they need, Rob. For absolutely what they needed.
To problem solve for a Spurs team that at times goes a bit basketball front to back. Experience, physicality, athleticism, football IQ. All you need in that holding role, Rob. And because of that, he gives a little bit more freedom to people ahead of the pitch. He's got a good understanding. I thought he fills in holes. He's good communicated. The goals are bonus, but starting when they press and win the ball after a mistake by Trafford. I just think that's a pretty good bit of business from somebody who was seen as surplus to Vincent Kompany and Bayern Munich. I think it's a brilliant pickup for Thomas Frank. He's got him in the door early, and he's going to be whoever he's partnered with, and whether it's a 2 in there, a 3, or whether the shape change, Palhinha is going to be a really important piece for this Tottenham team if they're going to be more successful and not be as open to the counter attack.
Couldn't agree more, because they got good defenders, Rob. We know they got good defenders. Cristian Romero's a world champion. Mickey van der Ven, we know all about his pace, etc., etc. And we also know that James Maddison, bad injury right now. Dejan Kulusevski, they're looking for another kind of attacking midfield player. All of a sudden the squad's kind of rounding out quite nicely. I know Dominic Solanke is fit again, was involved in the game at the weekend.
Kudus has settled well, hasn't he? Kudus has come in and
settled really well.
Looked the part.
And on his favoured position on the right side.
Somebody said to me, Rob, actually, it was something I hadn't really picked up. I heard yesterday. He said, think with Thomas Frank, you go back to the Ben Ramas, the Ollie Watkins, the Ivan Tonys, the Brian Mbermos, the Johan Wissers. All were kind of players who weren't at their height, and he's worked under them, developed them. They've all gone on to have really good careers. And we've seen a good Richarlison. I know it's 2 games in. We've seen Kudus come in, everybody at West Ham knows Kudus has got ability. We weren't seeing it on a regular basis. And again, I know it's a bit early in 2 games in, but he just looks like his man management and his ability to get the best of players is something as well that's going to be important.
Absolutely right, mate. And it's early days yet. And Thomas Frank, wow, what a great start he's got at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
Super excited to see how this develops. Now, in terms of like overreacting, my friend, this takes us over to Manchester City. And I think I'm probably guilty, and I'm happy to hold my hands up, particularly with some of the players that Manchester City signed. We saw them close hand. Maybe that's what kind of made us, me eulogise so much against Wolves.
Yeah.
And of course, I think I probably did caveat, we've got to remember it's only Wolverhampton Wanderers, but Man City looked irresistible in that game at Molineux last weekend. But my goodness, if they were surprisingly great against Wolves, they were surprisingly awful against Tottenham. And, you know, Ryan Shirky, that I was pleased to see, was playing in the midfield. Tijani Reinders, that we enjoyed so much in that first weekend. They were nowhere. They were nowhere in the game, and I just thought, wow.
You could add in Marmoush, you could add in Oscar Bob, you could add in Nico Gonzalez. Rob. There's a number. You know, there's 5 players there who, and again, I think, you know, like, what was it last week? The City, they're going to win the league. Well, this week they're going to get relegated. They're going to get relegated. They're going to get relegated now. They're going to get relegated, and we'll see next week. I don't know. They'll be in Europa. I think what we are going to see with City is some of these offish days. Some of these days where, I mean, this is about new players coming into this team and understanding A, about the league, and then B, how City play. Now, the other thing that's come to light, Rob, and I was doing a little bit of research, and we don't like to go too down the technical and data side, but I was reading a little bit of thing where Pep Linders has come in as his number 2. And apparently, Rob, he's been working a lot with, or supposedly, he's been working with the back line. And there's this thing about them jumping. I don't know if so they hold a line, and we saw it at Wolves a couple of times.
I don't know.
Well, you have a look at the first goal, what John Stones does with Richarlison.
I know, he tries to catch him offside.
He tries to jump him inside. Now, that's not a City thing. City
hold
a high line.
They do. They've always had a high line. I really hold a high line. They've always had a high line.
Yeah, I'm saying they hold a high line. What I'm saying is this thing, as the pass has been played, it's almost like a gamble, I'm going to get in front of you. That isn't City of the past.
So like an offside trap, more like.
It's like an offside trap. Now, we saw Wolves not do it particularly well, but breaking down that right-hand side a couple of times and say, oh, you know, they've got to be careful. The first goal comes through John Stones trying to jump in front, and he falls over.
Yeah.
And Richarlison gets played. Now, either something's changed in the way they're trying to defend, or, and I'll go to another point, maybe the Stones-Diaz partnership that's been brilliant for them over time is not quite at the level that it was. Now, both have had injuries, both have been sterling players, both are champions, and I hold my hands up to them of what they've done in the past. Been brilliant for Man City. Well, he's just signed a long 4-year contract, Diaz. John Stones, we don't know if he can put a run of 10 or 15 games together now with his body. Is that back line as strong, and are decisions being made that might underpin where they end up this season?
Well, it's certainly to be watched. We'll obviously watch this very closely in the next game. We fully focus on Manchester City. I mean, first, I saw this big, like, lots of comment about the high line of Manchester City. But I feel like they've always had a high line. Now, I get your point. I understand that there's a high line, and then there's a high line where you stand still and you try and play them offside.
Yeah.
You know, instead of high line, ball's going, I'll drop off and track the run, which I think we would prefer. But back to your comment, if you're an older defender, it's kind of easier to sort of look across the line and catch them offside because you haven't got to run back. But for them to high press and to be at their best, they have to be high. You can't press high and have your defenders all the way back.
No, I'm not talking about the high. I'm talking about the thing of trying to get ahead of the forward, so from the high line position. Have a look at Wolves last week and have a look at the goal. John Stones, as the ball's being played into Richarlison, John Stones tries to jump ahead of Richarlison and play offside.
Yeah.
Not even stay or not drop. He's trying to go in front of him. which I think is really dangerous.
If it's a policy, Rob, should all the defenders doing that? Is it just individuals that do it? Because that's dangerous.
Well, I'm
going to
say, I assume it happens when fullbacks are advanced of centre-back. So it's a centre-back's call then, isn't it? Can I do it? Yeah. If I do it well, I'm catching him offside. Okay, if I don't do it well, I'm going to have to go with a runner. Just, again, something interesting to look for.
Yeah.
But again, that it's one part of a number of areas where City...
Where else are they struggling? Where, like, if they, God, it's a long way to go yet, and things can change, but are the new players, is Pep and the team underestimating the physicality of this league? And people like Reinders and Shirky, could they struggle?
The players we talked about, Rob, those very outstanding footballers, when they have possession, when they dominate games, which they will do against the Wolves and maybe some of the teams that have come up, but there's going to be other opposition, and Spurs showed that they are at that claim. If they play Bournemouth, possibly if they played a Fulham, if they played an Everton who know what they're doing in physicality, it's going to be a different game. And those players attuned to what parts of the Premier League central areas of the game are about? Winning tackles, winning second balls, doing that stuff. Then your football comes in, Rob. I just think that might take a time. That might, Tijani Reinders said to us at the desk, he's not looking forward to the duels.
I know.
That was out of his own mouth.
Yeah, and that. I mean, it's just going to be more difficult to be effective in almost every game if you're not going to do that. I mean, if City have it their way, they have the ball. Pep, he wasn't happy with the second half of the first game because they never had the ball so much. They sat back a little bit. He doesn't want that. He wants them to control possession. So we'll see. Again, it's so easy to instantly react to things, isn't it?
Yeah, we're 2 weeks
maybe
in.
We just, just see how they...
2 points, Rob. Rodri's back, isn't he? I think Rodri's back now. So, I mean,
must make a difference.
It will make a difference. Can I just go to you, Bob? Incident that one of our viewers on Twitter reached out and just said, could you boys just describe the James Trafford challenge on Kudus, where he came out with his knee that looked like it possibly connected with the player and that looked like he handled the ball outside of the box?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the incident when it gets played over the top?
Yeah. Well, I think Tim did the highlight. Yeah, go on then. What do you say?
Well, I thought James Trafford's very lucky. I know he ended up not having a particularly great game with the mistake for the second goal that, looked a little bit edgy, but I thought that he was lucky to stay on the pitch.
Yeah, there's handball outside the box.
Yeah,
and
handball.
If that handball doesn't happen, it's a denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. Probably,
absolutely.
And the dangerous element to the play as well. I mean, it's a good point. It's a good point, and I haven't. Sometimes and I feel it's a bit of a. There's plenty of incidents this weekend, Rob. It's like that I just think it was a bit of a funny one, an awkward one.
Could have gone either way. It seemed like the discretion of the referee without it being one side or the other.
Just on goalkeepers, Reb, just before we move on, James Trafford, and I get he's gone back to the football club, and the Man City have spent money on him. They sold him. They bought him back again from Burnley. He's young. He's 22 years of age. Am I being too harsh, Rob, if I say he's just not ready to be in this calibre of team right now?
Yeah, I think you might be being a bit harsh. I think, again, I don't want to give away too many tickets without a name dropping, Rob. We were fortunate to spend half an hour with Roy Keane, weren't we, in the UK last weekend? Yeah. Remember he was talking about goalkeepers generally and talked about Trafford and, goalkeepers at United and the mentality, and he sort of said you find out about goalkeepers when they make a mistake. What happens next? What kind of personality are they? Can they come back from it, or does it go inside them and go the other way? And we'll talk about Manchester United's current situation with goalkeepers. I kind of feel like if Trafford's been given the number one, and it seems that he has, we've got to see now, can he handle what that is about, and can he come back again? I mean, there is rumours, Rob, and I think I said to you before we came on the podcast, they talk about Donnarumma being lined up on the basis that Ederson goes out to, I think it's Galatasaray, and they can get him out, and Donnarumma would come in, then obviously he would be the number one, James Trafford would be the number two. So, again, we'll keep our eye on that, but I don't think, I think right now, if you pull James Trafford out, I think it's a bit it will hit his confidence.
All right, mate, we'll move on. But just last kind of kudos to Tottenham Hotspur. That's exciting. That's a great to go there and win 2-0. I mean, that's some result.
Excellent
result of the weekend,
Good start to the season.
Okay, so let's move on to Arsenal Football Club, Robbie.
Your favourites for the title, Robbie Mustoe.
I said it from day one. My favourites for the title, and since then the news was that Eberechi Eze is moving, and was kind of shown to the fans before the game, Rob, before this game, 5-0 against Leeds United.
Yeah. I've got a multi-choice question for you, my friend.
Hit me.
I've been saying, so give me, based on the game and all that happened before, during, after, give me your biggest headline. And I've got a four multi-choice answer. Eze signing, Gyokeres getting 2 goals, set-piece goals, Saka and Odegaard injury, or Max Dowman debut at 15. Give me your biggest takeaway.
That's so Earl, that is. Because
I'm sitting at home, you know me, I'm not in studio,
there's so much going on. That's a good way.
Give me one. Give me your strongest feel from that game.
My strongest, most important feel from those points is Viktor Gyokeres scoring. I feel like of all the things that they need to happen, he is a key piece to be a successful signing, to start scoring regularly. He took his penalty. I think Peter Drury in the game commentary, Rob, I think it was, please don't quote me, I think it was 24 goals of 25 of all time take on penalties. He's a good penalty taker. That's going to add to his talent. He scores a typical Viktor Gyokeres goal that if you go back and look at all his goals, which I certainly did before he signed, he did that so many times where he cuts inside and scores there. So there's tons of other stuff, but and of course injuries now, but I feel like the squad has been beefed up. And plus the young players, you talk about Max Dowman and everybody else. I thought Ethan Nwaneri, Rob, looked $1 million when he came in. Wherever you look now in the Arsenal team, there's a ton of options. There's loads of depth, creative types, wingers, there's striker options, there's centre-backs, there's left-backs. Miles Lewis-Skelly comes into the field. Their academy deserves a standing ovation for adding...
Per Mertesaker's heading up, isn't he, with his team?
And the money and the money and the signings will always grab the headlines about what they've done, and it's a stellar summer window from Arsenal. But don't forget the impact and the quality of those young players coming in now. Back to your question, I just think that guy up front, that becomes a problem if you go 2, 3, 4, 5 games without a goal, and he's the guy that you wanted. We know that Bukayo Saka looks like... we're not going to speculate. He's holding the back of his left leg in the hamstring area.
The other leg, isn't it? Then he had the hamstring
other leg from the surgery. And of course, Odegaard's shot was holding his shoulder.
Yeah.
But other than that, mate, jeepers. I thought they looked... And I was a little critical of Arsenal at half-time, Rob, because...
for 20 minutes, they didn't really start the game well. They didn't dominate. They didn't have the possession. It didn't look great. I mean, Raya's come off with a good save from the header. Yeah. That might, give Leeds a little look in. So you're right. I was the same, Rob, but the moment from the goal, the moment from control, then we saw a lot of the good things that we know about Arsenal.
Back on that multiple choice, mate. Go on then, what's yours? What's your choice of that multiple choice question?
Strength in depth, my friend. Strength in depth, which includes Eze. But on the basis that you've lost Kai Havertz, Odegaard's looks like some kind of shoulder injury. Saka's got some kind of muscle injury. The Eze business looks like he was looking in a crystal ball. Yeah. You've now got Madueke, you've got Trossard, you've got Nwaneri, you've got Dowman. You've got people, Rob, who can come in. Yes, it was so important for Gyokeres to get his goal because he swiped at one early, and you're feeling for him. You want him to get his first goal in the Premier League, and then he can get going. He's a good size. He bullies somebody off the ball. He dips inside. It's a very, as you say, Gyokeres type goal. So that was important. But for me, Rob, it's now looking at this group, now looking at this bench at times, and saying, we can handle. Yeah, they are stacked. Yeah. They're stacked. In some respects, Mikel Arteta couldn't ask for anything more. No. I mean, gosh, they've got to try and have some luck with injuries, because that could, we saw last year what that did to them, Gabriel and Saka at crucial times of the season. But this squad depth now looks in place, Rob, to have a real proper go at it.
I mean, mate, these corner kicks. this is getting ridiculous. That's
incredible.
Three goals from corners in the last 2 games. I mean
he's got a mule, hasn't he, Nicola Jover? He's going to get a knighthood the way he's going. I mean, it's incredible. And they're all different versions, aren't they? So all of a sudden now, because everybody's marking Gabriel, they're starting to let Timber be the guy who comes free and attacks into space. You know, they've got a little mix-up of it that causes people problem. Slightly helped by Leeds. You know, it was a big team, but didn't defend particularly great. But they're and the confidence that gives you, Rob. Every time a corner comes in,
expectation.
I mean, your expectation to score, and it's like the other team. You know, we've been played at this level where somebody has a long throw or great at corners. You're all panicking that we're going to concede here.
Yeah, because the coaches, the last thing they say to you before going out is, remember Arsenal good at set pieces. Remember, so then a set piece happens, you're all jittery, you're all nervous. Like who's going to? People do things differently because they feel they've got to try and make an impact. I mean, it's just a stunning, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, they could get 20. I mean, it's having an extra player on the field scoring 20 goals.
It's a forward, mate.
I know.
Set piece has been his best signing over the last 3 years.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Just a quick one, Rob, before we move on, mate. Max Dowman. We had a conversation with Rebecca about it.
Wow.
We talked about it on Rebecca's show, The Lowdown, where we give her questions and stuff. It's a fun little thing we do at the end on a Sunday. And the question was, is it too young? Is 15 years of age too young for a young boy to be involved at this senior level, these grown-up, aggressive, physical? What do you think?
Isn't the talk that he has to change in a different dressing room
because
he's
not? He does his schoolwork
he's not 16
at night.
years of age. He has a somebody safeguarding him and whatever. He goes to school, still got another year of school. So the really funny thing is, Rob, and I met a friend in London, in New York, from London, who knows the family, and was basically saying, can you imagine the challenges parents got? You've got this kid who people are talking could be a very, very special talent, superstar talent, and they're making him clean his bedroom and do the dishes and make sure his homework's done.
Brilliant.
And
That's
all
great.
that.
That's great.
It's brilliant. And by all intents and purposes, the people looking after him are doing a great job keeping his feet on the ground. Do you know this thing about him, Rob? And I was trying to think how I could explain this. And it's quite a difficult thing to do. But he's one of the few players who we played against and played. So I would say like a Gianfranco Zola, a Dennis Bergkamp, probably a Mesut Ozil does it now. You know when they get the ball, Rob, they kind of show you the ball and get side on to the ball, almost like, go on then, come and tackle me. Their body comes side on to the ball. They don't stand behind it like normal people like us and then think where we're going. He kind of opens up his hips. And what that does is create an unbelievable insecurity for you because you don't know which way he's going. So he starts dribbling off his left foot inside and then he cuts it onto his right or vice versa, or you nibble at it and he, as the defender did the weekend to get his penalty. Yeah. He's just got this kind of real, Cantona-esque, and he's 15 and a half years of age, where he kind of shows you the ball and gets side on. And says, he did it a couple of times in the game, and I went, that's genius.
He's silky.
That's class.
Yeah,
he's silky class.
That left foot. It's something about these left-footed players. They look graceful. Gosh. They move it. There's something. I don't know. I mean, we don't want to get too carried away. And what I think Rebecca said, and I totally agreed, and I think I mentioned it earlier in the day, is Ethan Nwaneri is been there. He's been there and he's done it. Yeah. He was the youngest player, and they've nurtured him. He's gone out a little bit. He's come back in. He looks good. Yeah. So if there's one club and team that know how to do this, they've been course and distance before with Ethan Nwaneri, who looks like he's come through pretty good. So, no, really interesting story. Yeah, well done, Arsenal. They found a way, and there's goals in that team from so many. Yeah, well done.
Listen, Rob, we've got a slightly different tact on the podcast this season. We're going to do a slight preview of a game coming up in the next 7 days. Now we know that Liverpool play Newcastle tomorrow, but ahead of that, Liverpool play Arsenal at Anfield next Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on the USA Network. Just give us your headline thoughts. And again, I know Liverpool have got a game to play, but give us your headline thoughts on the teams that have been 1 and 2, the teams that look like, most people's favourites to win it this time around. What are your thoughts ahead of that big game at Anfield?
Well, the first thought is I wish it was a little later. I wish this game was in a few weeks' time. Liverpool are certainly undercooked right now. They've got new players, quite a few.
So does that help Arsenal? Sorry to cut in. Would that help Arsenal to a degree?
Yeah, it does help Arsenal, but Arsenal have also got their best player out injured in Bukayo Saka that's almost certainly not going to be available for the game. I want to see best Arsenal against best Liverpool, and I guess we will in the other fixture. When the reverse fixture. Right now, I got to say, I think Arsenal are ahead. And a lot of people fancy Liverpool to repeat the title this year, but they've. Well, we'll see what happens in the Newcastle game. But I feel like Arsenal have the advantage, even though they got some key injured players, because of momentum, because of many, many things. I mean, they are the two teams this season. They are going to be fighting out at the top of this Premier League table. And I just wonder if Arsenal this year, Rob, have just got that little bit more hunger to want to win the title. And they're more grooved. They're more familiar with each other, even though, of course, new players have come in. So, I mean, it's Anfield, isn't it? It's Anfield.
It's Anfield, yeah.
The atmosphere at Anfield, as we know, is an outstanding atmosphere, and it's going to be a brilliant, brilliant game. Where are your thoughts on this one?
I think I'd probably go the same based on. I just think defensively, Arsenal we've got the best unit in the league, and I think when you go to Anfield, you've got to defend well against that front line that can have a number of different ways of hurting you. But I just felt that Liverpool were a little bit open. I know Gravenberch comes back, who will give him a little bit of stability, but at times they were a little bit more open to the counter-attack. And if Arsenal can defend well and break with their pace through the lines and get forward, I think Gyokeres gives them a very different feel at the top end of the pitch, where it's not just silky football. If we have to bang one over the top and he has to go and fight with Van Dijk and Konate or whoever's playing, then he'll do that as well. So I suppose right now, at 7 days out, I probably just fancy Arsenal. But listen, Anfield, Liverpool at home, Arne Slot's team have got know-how, Rob. They're street smart now, and that might put them in good stead.
How quickly can Florian Wirtz, the new zillion-dollar midfield player for Liverpool...
Isn't this more of the type of games where we expect him to shine, Rob? Like, we saw him against Bournemouth, and he got... The game was too physical and too quick. He couldn't influence the game. This game is probably going to be as quick, but it's going to be more technical, I would assume.
Well, also could be physical, Rob. Also, I'm thinking about Hugo Ekitike as well, and Florian Wirtz, that are new to this Premier League. They're young.
Against Zubimendi and
then Saliba. And defending Ekitike and Gabriel.
This is why we bought him for this kind of money, Rob, isn't it? Near British record, if it goes up to. This is the games when we'll see. Great test. Brilliant game. A bit like you. It'd be nice if it was in a month's time and both were ticking along. But it's just going to give us a little look behind the curtain, Rob, of where they both are. And these, we're in August, so there's still plenty to go. But Arsenal. The other thing I'd just say, just on closing, Rob, Arsenal's record against a Big Six, outstanding, by the way. I think it might be 2 seasons they've not lost against a Big Six team. So, know how to get a job done.
It's going to be a great game.
Okay, that's moving on. Let's go back to Craven Cottage, my friend. So, Manchester United, after a decent performance but a loss against Arsenal, rolled up to Craven Cottage down in London. I think we'd expect Manchester United, based on progression, Rob, to win this game. It might be tight. Fulham, we know, under Marco Silva, play good football, never give up. Subs can come on and make things happen as they do again. But this has to go down as a disappointing result, doesn't it, for Ruben Amorim? And after the sort of, feel-good factor we got last week when we were at Old Trafford, and remember, the fans applauding the players off the pitch for what they saw.
Yeah, it is disappointing. I think, to be fair, I always felt like the front line's is better. It's obviously better. They spent a lot of money there in all three spots in that front line, if you like. But there's still weaknesses from last season with the system that he wants to play. And I thought that showed itself again. I thought they played really well, Rob, in the first 15, 20 minutes. They get into around half an hour mark. They score the first goal. It was kind of an own goal. It was well attacked by Lenny Yoro, but it was off the back of a defending player to make it 1-0. And even the manager said himself afterwards, Rob, after that, they went into a little bit of defensive mode. And Ruben Amorim said, like, we started thinking about the result.
The scoreline,
and then you start to protect, you start to drop off. And that invites Fulham to come on and force the play. You know, Manchester United, Rob, at Craven Cottage against Fulham are hanging on at the end. They're hanging on at the end. And as much as I like Mateus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo, they are proven at this level. They've scored tons of goals. There's still glaring problems. Goalkeeper is a problem. But the biggest problem is the middle of midfield, I think, now, Rob. And Bruno Fernandes missed his penalty, was badly shaken when he bumped into the referee. He has to reset himself. And sticks it over the top. And then he loses his marker, Emil Smith-Rowe, who scores the equalising goal for Fulham a little later on. So we all want to speak highly of United. We all want to feel like we need to see steps in the right direction. And there were signs of it early on, and then it went back to being scared, error-ridden, and just disappointing play. And this cannot continue. And I don't want to react too much to this. They didn't lose the game. But this, Rob, there's got to be signs in the next few weeks, and I'd say the next 2 months, that we got to start seeing United putting more positive performance, dominating performances and good victories on the record, or he's going to be really under pressure for his job.
So I totally agree with all that you said. I want to come back to not question a couple of the points you make, but to get validity on a couple of things that you said. Just starting off with recruitment, Rob. They spent around $300 million on 3 forward players, Šeško, Cunha and Mbeumo.
Yeah.
You know, who will get goals, who will get the goals. I mean, they scored 44 goals in all of last season. I think those 3 amongst them were somewhere around 50 goals. So there'll be goals will come from them 3. Šeško's still got to, Benjamin Šeško's a young lad, still got to get used to it. But most teams, Rob, most teams I've worked with, most coaches I've worked with, generally build from the back forward. So they get the back line and the goalkeeper, all right, with Sam. David Moyes is a great example of that, when he went in Everton. Then you get a midfield that's robust, that's strong, that might not be as technically, might not have the great playmakers, but we're going to protect.
You're building a foundation, Rob.
Yeah. And then we have the forward. Manchester United are almost doing it in reverse. The front line, with the right things behind it, I think can be top 6. Can be top 6. But the stuff behind it, Rob, and you've got a couple of massive glaring issues. You've got holding midfield road, of which you've got 2 positions.
Yeah.
You haven't got one player who's naturally suited to that role. Now, I don't know if you got. I don't know, and I'm being hypothetical here. If you found a Patrick Vieira-esque and sat him next to Bruno, I don't know that possibly could work, because he would get around and he'd do all that work, and Bruno would probably take a little bit from him and then go forward. But based on you haven't got any one of them, Bruno's not a number 6.
No.
So then you've now got 3 centre-backs sometimes who get a little bit exposed, the wing-backs who do what they do at the moment, not enough possession, not enough control to get in the game, like we see Crystal Palace. And then you've got a glaring problem, Rob, with your goalkeeper. That I said last week, until you end your goalkeeper problem, you get the 2 centre-back, you go and get 2 central midfield players who do you the job, and I'm going to name you 2 in a minute. If you've got a goalkeeper that you don't rely on, at big moments in big games, that goalkeeper's going to let you down. Liverpool had it with Simon Mignolet.
Yeah.
He was a good keeper. It was a good level. Every now and then there'd be a game and he'd miss a punch, or he wouldn't make a save. And Liverpool went, sorry, Simon, you've been a great... Alisson, we've never talked about a goalkeeper problem since in the last 5-6 years at Liverpool.
Let me go back a little bit, Rob, to the first part of that comment.
Rant. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I would say they did try. They have tried to start at the back. They signed Andre Onana not long ago. That's an attempt to get an experienced class
that's recruitment then, isn't it?
So let's hold that.
Okay.
Centre-backs, Matthijs de Ligt, Lenny Yoro, Mazraoui. They have recruited defenders, and they still got Maguire. Of all the problems they've got, I feel like those centre-backs are kind of like Yoro. De Ligt, I think, started pretty well. And Luke Shaw's a good left-sided three. You've got Mazraoui to come back. I think, okay, they've had a go at that, Rob. I'm not saying it's a super strong foundation, but they've had a bit of a go at that. And then they've jumped. Then I totally agree. They've jumped forward, into the front players. And they bought so many of them. Did they need that many, Rob? What about Xerxes? What about, Højlund's been there a little while, but Josh Xerxes is a kind of a recent sign. Ugarte's another one. They're signing, and then they're like, actually, no. We need another one. We need another one. We need another one. Ugarte, you go back to the central midfield. He was from PSG. He was going to be the guy that's got the engine, he's going to break up the play. But they feel like he's not good enough as a passer.
Well, he had him at Sporting, didn't he? He knows him and he knows the system.
Why has he not been... So I agree on the recruitment side of it. I just think back on the forward players of all that money. Where's Mason Mount going to play? Where's Bruno Fernandes going to play? Because Bruno's not a 6. No. In midfield, he could play as a number 8 or a number 10 in a 3-man midfield, but they don't do that. So by betting Mbeumo and Cunha, you got Mate. I just don't know where everyone's going to fit in. So you got a surplus of 10s. You got an untold amount of number 10s, Rob, and no midfield generals, as I call them. The Roy Keanes, your Brian Robsons, your Patrick Vieira's, the guys that can do a little bit of everything. They've got, one in Ugarte that they don't trust. Casemiro is, and I said on our show, Rob, he's one more thing. I have respect for him.
And it's hard to criticise
people like that.
But it's our job to do that. It's not. No, he's not athletic enough. So the only one I feel a bit sorry for, Rob, is Bruno. And I'll go back to this, and then I'll give you. And the reason why, and you did brilliant. The first, as Emil Smith-Rowe scores the goal, my first thought was, somebody's let him go. Somebody, as a midfield player, I used to run forward, and I used to, think there's some midfield players who'll run with you to the box, then they'll stop.
Correct.
And others will go all the way with you and try and get a block in.
Right.
Bruno Fernandes has no real desire, or I don't think sometimes recognises.
It's not in his DNA.
No, and you know what? He's right that it's not in his DNA, because Bruno can do things with the ball you couldn't even dream of. He sees passes, he can clip a ball, he can score goals, he can take free kicks. Bruno's job is at the other end of the pitch, where he can make that front three come alive.
Yes.
So, yes, he was at fault, but for me, he's not to blame. Because he shouldn't be the guy that's got his job. There should be a guy who's in there who hasn't got half the skill of Bruno, can do 3 keepy-ups and then drops the ball every week. But he's going to mark a runner and stop Emil Smith-Rowe getting that goal.
Right.
And I'm going to give you 2, Rob, who we saw last weekend, and they were bought for less than $50 million. Andre and Gomez at Wolverhampton Wanderers. They're 24 years of age. They're Brazilian. They're aggressive. They're athletic. They both technically can get on the ball and pass it into where it needs to get to. They don't run forward too many times. They don't want the headlines. And I'm saying, Rob, one of them at least. Go and find one of them. You don't have to spend 100-odd million if Balaba is not available, or, a Caicedo-esque isn't available. There's somebody there for 20, 30, 40 million dollars who can make a difference.
Yeah, that's exactly what they need. They're not going to go there, but you just picked out Palhinha. No, he's not the right age profile for you. But talk about that's the sort of profile we're talking about. A player that's good on the ball, and he'll track her runners, and he'll get his foot in, he'll protect the back three, and let everybody else do their thing. And I agree with you, Rob, on the Bruno thing. And I agree. It's not in his makeup. I broke down the play, Rob, and he ain't even considering or thinking that this guy's going to run into. He's not. He's looking around. He's not even thinking about if it was me, because that's what I did. I couldn't make a pass like he can make a pass. But I'm looking at my guy, and you might be my guy when I play against you at Wimbledon. Where's Earl? There he is. I got him. Right, I'm goal side. He's going to. Here he comes. I got him, and I'm going to track you and try and stop you from getting a free effort a goal. He's not even thinking about it.
But you would also take a pride in that, Rob. That would be part of like you get on the bus and think, well, it isn't part of what Bruno's thinking about the penalty and the ball he overhit and the clip ball that nobody saw the run, and he's thinking he's got a creative mind.
Yeah.
And so sticking him in that hole, these things are gonna happen because it's not really what he does.
Can I give you one more thing on that play, Rob? And again,
we
don't want to be jumping over Man United, right? But there's one last detail I want to say about it, right?
Yeah.
When the captain, Bruno Fernandes, doesn't track a runner and the guy strolls in and scores, I'm telling you, the majority of people that I played with, or the better players, the leaders, are going to... I looked at Luke Shaw, right? He should be like, what are you doing?
Bruno,
there's got to be a bit more accountability, a little bit more. I remember I played, again, like, it's not probably overused player, but Paul Ince was an England midfield player.
Yeah,
he was on my case every minute of the game. And I used to laugh at him sometimes, like, what are you talking about? We'd argue, but he kept me on my toes. And any little mistake, he's on me. Partly because he wanted that for his own game, I think. But the accountability, and they're like, come on, I don't care if he's a captain. Someone's got to say, and I know maybe it's not in his DNA, but you should have tracked and runner there. I mean, that's just a separate little rant. And maybe football's moved on, but surely, Rob, at some point, people have got to be held others accountable.
Sorry, I just got one more place, and then we're done on this one. We'll move on. What say Kobbie Mainoo, my friend? Kobbie Mainoo? Right. I mean, like, profile, athletic, young, seen thing, but doesn't fit the profile of what that person is. Can we mould? Ryan Gravenberch, the season before Arne Slot went there, was an attacking 8 midfield player, and Arne Slot turned him into holding defence. Alexis McAllister became a little bit more at times as that player. Can Kobbie Mainoo become that player?
Love to see that. I honestly, again, I don't know where, and I might be wrong here, but I don't know whether it's in his DNA to be that guy, to be a holding guy. I'm going to get across there and make a sliding challenge. I'm going to get on my feet. I'm going to run back and make a tackle. I'm going to be in the penalty box.
We've seen a bit of all-action Kobbie, though, haven't we?
Yeah, but with the ball.
Goals and passing
technical,
and that.
Yeah, he's really good. If you could morph him and blimmin' Manuel Ugarte, you get a perfect guy for what we're talking about, a player that's got a defensive sense.
But he can learn that,
yeah,
Rob.
But has he got a big enough engine? Has he got stamina? Has he got effort? Has he got distance? Can he get up and down? I just worry that he's not athletic enough to cover the ground that you have to in a 2-man midfield. This is a 2-man midfield because with the system that they play. If it's a 3-man midfield, then forget the last stuff we talked about for the last 10 minutes because it changes. There's 3 of you to do those jobs.
Yeah.
But as a 2, it's a specific guy, and Mainoo's not considered athletic enough, right, but technical enough, and Ugarte is considered not technical enough, but has the energy. They haven't got the guy, and they spent a ton of money on the front players. Maybe they should have redirected that on somebody for that middle position.
Okay, we'll see what to do for moving on. Let's move it on, my friend, to the Hill Dickinson Stadium.
Yeah,
aptly named. What a brilliant day for Everton fans. Last season, Rob, shrouded by halfway through the season, where they still be in the league. Gosh. David Moyes comes in, gets everything sorted. I mean, those dark days seem away. They move into new stadiums, the first home game. Jackie Grealish is playing for the team and lighting things up. That would have probably been... And Everton can play better and will play better, but that kind of would have been a very David Moyes kind of day, the first day in the new house.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. I loved everything about it, Rob. I love looking at the pictures. I love the drone shots of the stadium. What a beautiful stadium that is. Hill Dickinson Stadium, I mean, right by the river there. Spectacular design. The way that it's been designed inside as well. Of course, we know at Goodison Park, played there many times. It's very close. I think for the majority, it's very, very close. It's very steep, so you feel like the fans are right on you. It's a beautiful sunny day. You get 2 very pretty goals. Iliman Ndiaye is the guy that's going to go down in history, the first player to score a goal at this new stadium. I just thought
last one at Goodison as well, wasn't he? Last Goodison, first one at
I just thought it was a great day, and I quite honestly, I'd love to go to that stadium now and see a game and soak it all in. I mean, Graham Lasso, Rob, and has been around, obviously, as a great player. He's been doing his work in commentary for many, many years. I was touched at how he found it, how powerful he found being in there. He said, he said, wow, it feels like kind of cup finals rolled into one. Yeah. So much excitement and so much happiness about being in the stadium. And I was pulling, and then maybe I shouldn't. I'm like, I hope it's a good day, because I had a good day when we moved into a new stadium. We won 2-0. It's just that new say. I feel like, Rob, it's okay, we're in now. We're in, off and running. Yeah. We got the victory. There's no kind of like, when they're going to score a goal, when they're going to win the first game at the stadium, all this kind of stuff. They're in, all good. I just thought, and the shots, Rob, the drone shots of it from aerial.
Brilliant, yeah.
I was just made up.
It's almost like you feel like Everton fans have deserved this, haven't they, over the years?
They really have. My God, they've gone through it, haven't they?
Played second field to Liverpool, and they've had, their issues, and struggled with the football at times, stayed in, got the points deduction, batted on from there and stayed in the league. And, you almost feel like the Evertonians needed that. And do you know what, Rob, as well? I couldn't have been happier for Jack Grealish. Couldn't have been happier for him, mate.
Yeah.
And I've just picked a quote up that he said after the game. He said, in the last couple of years, he hasn't really enjoyed football as much as he should. And he says, I'm somebody who loves football generally.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite a powerful thing for, he's such a big personality. He's a happy guy. He's a cheeky chappy. He's got a little bit of personality about him. And it looked like at City some of that was being drained, or he just couldn't express himself. What I like about this move, Rob, is that if Jack Grealish is fit, he's going to play. And if Jack Grealish plays, he's going to play most minutes. He's not going to take off after 60 minutes of things on going, well, he's not going to be that guy. Yeah. And I think he just needs that, Rob. I think he needs that security to flourish, to be happy, to be his best, to come off the line, to start being dangerous again and taking people on, taking risk, and stop playing safe, which we saw at City, and we kind of saw a pale version of Jack. And I just feel like it looks like he's found his happy place.
He wants to be the main man, Rob, I think. I feel like he wants to be the first guy that players look for. Where's Jack Grealish? Let's get him the ball. Because at Man City, my goodness, that just wasn't the case. There's so many other options and other key players to get it to. Let's see, Rob. I want to see how he develops from the left-hand side. Yeah. I don't know, at some point we might see him come into the middle a little bit more.
Central, a little bit more tennis.
He's got a little bit, because I think his greatest asset is creativity in terms of passing. Even today, he did brilliant for the goal, of course, getting down the outside and crossing in. But I don't think you're going to see him step overs and beating fullbacks and whipping. I think he's more of a creative.
He needs runners, doesn't he? He has to have movement in front of him so he can play off people.
So you might see that. It might see a bit more central. But good for him today. Smiling, he's happy. He said afterwards again, as soon as I spoke to David Moyes, I wanted to come to this football club. And he's a happy chappy right now. There's an option, Rob. I think it's like a $67 million option now for Everton Football Club. That's a lot of money for a player that's, I think, 29, nearly 30. So I don't know whether. I know. I mean, let's see towards the end of the season.
Let's see how the season goes. Let's see what he commits.
I think he's going to enjoy it.
It looks like he's going to enjoy it. He's a fit lad and whatever. Yeah. You're going to give me your underappreciated performer of the week, aren't you, from this game, my friend?
I almost forgot. And
I wasn't going to let you forget.
Yeah, thank you. Because I did hint to you that it was somebody from the Everton side.
Yeah.
It's Jordan Pickford. And I know we have a fresh season, Rob, and I'm sure we've had him before.
I think you've had Jordan before. I think
but fresh season,
fan club,
all bets are off. Like, we start from scratch. But just think about it, mate. Just think about that for a minute. First off, he saves a penalty, right? He saves a penalty, which is one of the hardest things to do.
He's got it written on his bottle which way he's going. But
so he had 50-50,
maybe I could save the penalty if I had the thing.
It was 50-50. Like to go to which side. And also, what about when James Tarkowski made that mistake, puts his hand on his head? Who was there to clean up and make a great save at the feet? I can't remember who it was. Make a great save at the feet. And then he goes and says, I got you, mate. I got you, James Tarkowski. I know. And finally, like, these football clubs that are all looking for goalkeepers, Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, why isn't Jordan Pickford under more talk about? I mean, he never lets you down.
Well, there's there is a little bit of a kind of reputation that he's a bit mad, Rob, isn't it? He's a bit crazy. Which all goalkeepers are, to be honest.
It only matters what he does on a Saturday, Rob, doesn't it?
You're right. And he has looked like he's matured. He does look like he's matured. There's a little less of this sort of
craziness.
Acting and the craziness, and he looks like he's getting down to business. You're right, though, in many respects. Great save from the penalty was important. Didn't give Brighton a chance to get a sniff. The reaction when he looks sharp, Rob. He looks like he's lost a little bit of weight. He looks in good nick. He's England's number one without that, head and shoulders. Isn't anybody really pushing him that close for that position? You're right.
He looks like Rob. He looks like he wants to. He looks like he's like, this stadium's going to be. You're not going to get past me. I'm not going to let a goal in. He looks like he wants to start like strong on this.
He talked about during the summer series, we managed to talk to him. He talked about actually he's enjoying being one of the leaders in that group now, because we've lost a lot of players, Rob. Gyokeres, Calvert-Lewin, Ashley Young, people like that. And he said, he's enjoying now being, with Tarkowski, with Seamus Coleman. He's enjoying being one of the leaders, no, fair play to him. He looks like he's loyal. There's talk about there's a long contract coming. I believe he could go close to Tim Howard's clean sheet record and appearance record. So Tim's keeping his eye on that. But no, it's a good shout, because he's somebody who doesn't get a lot of credit, really, even when he plays particularly well. And he was important. He was an important player today. When you say in a league where 4 or 5 players could instantly put him in their team and make them much, much better.
Rob, let's just scoot around the other results. There are our main featured games and stories from this weekend. Let's just run through maybe a comment or two on a couple of these. West Ham United 1, Chelsea 5. Chelsea, well done. West Ham, alarm bells. I know it's only weekend.
Graham Potter,
that you spent some time with.
You need to go to see Harry Potter and get the wand off him and see if he can get a bit of magic.
I mean, it's a big concern, man. It's
Robert,
early.
Just on that, I saw the record. He's had 21 games in charge. He's had 5 wins, 3 clean sheets.
Yeah, it's worse than Lopetegui, the manager that he replaced. So. That's. I'm afraid it's watch this space. The next few weeks for him.
Squad's not good enough, though, mate. Is it? In all honesty, I mean, they should be doing better, and he should be coaching them better. But the squad,
needs a lot of help.
I mean, the midfield, Rob. Me and you could play in that midfield.
I think do a better job. Yeah, I think so. All right, Crystal Palace 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Of course, all the drama about Crystal Palace getting chucked out of the Europa League and being replaced by Nottingham Forest. Palace into the Conference League, which is confirmed now by the Court of Arbitration for Sport.
Yeah, they played, didn't they?
There's an edge to this game. Ismail Assar, one of our regular underappreciated performers, gets the goal for Palace, and Hudson-Odoi for Nottingham Forest. That game ends 1-1, unless you want to say anything particular.
Well, all the talk, Rob, this week has been about Nuno and falling out with Evangelos Marinakis, the owner.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of talk about Edu, Rob, who was obviously in charge at Arsenal.
He was at the game.
Moved into the football group in Nottingham Forest, running a number of clubs. And there is a feeling that Nuno now has to go through Edu, not to the owner. And that's causing a big problem. And they're saying this week, at some points, somebody might have to back down.
I mean, Marinakis is such a flamboyant owner. We've talked about this before. And Nuno to come out with that stuff in his press conference to sort of say something
we're no longer
last year
close
we were tight, we spoke all the time, but and they're no longer close, and that's not good. We need everybody pulling in the same direction. So this whole Edu thrown into the mix sounds like it's really been a difficult moment.
Well, it's an awkward one, isn't it? Because I'm assuming Edu's been told from the owner, right, speak with the manager and work things out. The manager wants to speak direct with the owner, maybe have a say on things, and it doesn't look good. Somebody's going to have to take a big step backwards if this is going to be resolved, or, there's already talk of who might be going to Nottingham Forest and where Nuno might be going to if it goes. So, they've got European football to come as well, Nottingham Forest, as you say. So, we'll watch that space on that one, mate. Let's go to Burnley. Burnley 2, Sunderland 0. This was a game in the Championship last season. Burnley, with all those clean sheets, coming good against a Sunderland team that started the season really well with that 3-0 win against West Ham. So good result that for Scotty Parker and his boys, getting the 3 points up and running. And
I saw the promoted teams all got a win now, Rob, haven't they?
Yeah.
All three of them have got a win now, which is a real good start for them.
Yeah.
I was pleased for Scott Parker, of course, was a former teammate of mine. Pretty big celebrations and those goals went in. So well done, Burnley.
Yeah.
I think that's a game for us to watch. I'm going to watch that game closely this week because
have a little look at it. Because
these teams are new.
A bit about the two teams, don't we? Yeah,
get a good sense of the two teams.
Yeah.
Brentford 1, Aston Villa 0. Dango Ouattara, the new signing for Brentford, gets a goal.
Record signing. Yeah. Pleased for Keith Andrews. So obviously everything was circulating. The focus was on him. 3-0 loss first day in charge with Thomas Frank and everything going. So his team had to hang on a little bit. We hold a bit of pressure from Villa, but good 3 points for Keith Andrews.
Not great for Aston Villa. Quick line on Villa.
No.
Bit of a.
I kind of feel like it might be one of those seasons now. Europa League's that is the option now in European football, and that's something that Unai knows, but. Just felt at the start of the season, and we saw the interviews, didn't we, last weekend, and felt like Unai was talking up and trying to build a little bit of
excitement, because there's a bit of excitement lacking after so much brilliant last year. There's some of those games, and you're getting Asensio for Real Madrid and Marcus Rashford and everything else. It's like, they haven't done a ton in the market.
They feel like one of them teams that PSR is affected, isn't it? They're not able to spend. They've lost Jacob Ramsey, haven't they, to Newcastle United.
Gusan came on and looked pretty good, I thought, pretty lively.
Oh, yeah.
Gusan, the new
centre forward, and he's got Malen, hasn't he, who came in last year. So they're going to have to do a little bit of a different way, and he's a good manager, but not quite the bright start that we thought from Villa. And Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0. No surprise with Bournemouth, Rob. We were pretty impressed with them when we saw them at Anfield, weren't they? Tavernier with the goal, slight deflection, goes in on 4 minutes enough against a Wolves team that I think, Rob, and I think we both talked about it at the start of the season, it could be a bit of a struggle. They need to do a bit of work in the window, and you just can't keep selling your best players, mate, and not replacing them with good enough quality.
No, that's right. I think, and we know that Brighton sell, but they buy great. Brentford sell, they buy great. If you keep selling, there's been many clubs, I think at Southampton, that have done a lot of this. And you keep selling your best players and hoping to get good ones. If you don't, then you can have a difficult season. That might be what Wolves are staring at. But we'll see. It's still very early yet. But like West Ham, 2 games, 2 losses.
That's it for match week 2, mate. There's one more game to come. That's Newcastle v Liverpool. That's tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the USA Network at St James Park. I know this is slightly date the poddy, Rob.
Could be dated,
Quick line on that. I mean, they're calling it the Alexander Isak derby. I mean, we don't know where he's going to end up by the time the transfer window. He could be in the red of Liverpool or the black and white of Newcastle, or I don't know, in the bomb squad is a new phrase. But what are your thoughts on this one? I mean, St James's Park's going to be red hot, isn't it?
It's going to be red hot. It's going to be lively. Even with some of the individuals, Rob, whether it's Bruno Guimaraes in midfield, Tonali or Joe Ellington, they're going to be fired up. They're going to be aggressive. I mean, like Liverpool, these Liverpool players that we saw against Bournemouth, Rob, with Ekitike, physical, with Wirtz trying to find space in midfield. It was physical. Well, how about having some more of that at St James's Park? So, if you're an Arsenal fan, I think you can sit back and say, well, I just kind of see Man City. They weren't very good. Come on, Liverpool. We're doing all right. We've won our games. What have you got? So, of course, really early, but it's a very big test for some of these new players at Liverpool Football Club to go to St James's with a chip on their shoulder and handle that intensity and physicality from the Geordies.
It's a good shout. Frimpong's got an injury, so he's not going to be fit enough. I think Conor Bradley's back. Ryan Gravenberch is back for Liverpool. Just giving them a little bit of stability. But looking forward to that 1 3 p.m. Eastern Time on USA Network next week. Okay, we'll be back next weekend when Liverpool will host Arsenal. That's a top-of-the-table clash, which I'm not sure at this stage we can have implications when we're still in August, but we'll find out next week. But for now, I'm Earl. He's Musty, together with the 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.